Right, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Gary, I see you there. And I'll call the meeting to order. This is our May 3rd meeting for the Portola Valley Bicycle, Pedestrian and Traffic Safety Committee. Call the meeting to order and begin with our roll call, please. I am Ed Holland, I'm chair.
Angela Hay.
Caroline, please
Oh,
announce yourself.
Caroline Tongan. Is the sound okay?
If you could speak directly into the mic.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you folks now.
Yeah, okay.
Great, thank you, Gary.
We have a group message.
Yes. See how all that works out. The first item of the roll call on our agenda is oral communications for items not on the agenda. So if anyone has something, Caroline, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. I'm new to the committee, so I have a couple of questions. One is, do we have a charter? And could I have the latest copy of it? I know we talked about the general plan and it's been on the agenda, but I don't know exactly where we stand. Are we going to participate and look at the general plan? It's not just the circulation element, but I think there's several other elements that we should look at. And then definitely, I was wondering if we are going to participate in the new sheriff's contract.
Thank you. I could certainly answer the question. Yes, we do have a committee charter. I did look around on the town website for it and could not find it myself. I will ask Howard or I'll talk to Carrie Chin if she can help us find that. Because I know it exists somewhere because it designates the number of chairs on the committee and all of those important things, as well as the other items of purview for the committee's operations.
Thank you. I will reach out to Carrie Chin.
Okay, item 3 will to approve the minutes from our April 5th meeting. Consider the minutes to be a true factual record of our previous meeting.
The second that.
Second that, thank you. So I propose that we approve the meeting minutes. Do I have a second, please? So you, yeah, okay, thank you. Item 4 is our sheriff's report.
Yeah.
I'm always confused by the procedure.
So,
Yeah. So we have a vote of all in favor of approving the minutes.
yes.
Thank you. Item 4 is our sheriff's report for
I don't see Patrick online.
Patrick is not online. I included all the reports that we have received recently in the agenda packet, so that is now recorded. I hope that is at least the beginning of a useful record of those items.
There was a sheriff watching the school at Portola and Alpine Road. So watching people go through the
This morning,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
saw him, I think on my way down, coming up to Park Up, so that's good. Oh,
I checked in with Patrick Taylor this morning. He indicated that he's actually on vacation this week. So he apologizes and he'll give the report next month for this time.
Thank you, Howard.
And we can, you can go through the what's included in here and come up with questions.
Thank you. Caroline, please go ahead. You have a comment?
Well, I hope you saw you have a copy of the current sheriff's contract. And so there's some information in there and Mr. Nielsen can probably comment on that. So we are supposed to have one deputy 24 hours. And then there's another deputy, at night, and then we share one with Woodside. So now somebody's on vacation, you would think somebody can replace or steps in to fulfill that role.
Yeah, and you mean to attend this meeting?
I'm sorry,
You mean somebody could be made available to attend the meeting?
not necessarily, but at least comment or, um,
Well, and in the past, they have done, sheriff's office have sent somebody to the meeting or occasionally two officers in attendance in person. So,
that might be too much work right now. Everybody's overwhelmed, but there's so many outstanding discussions that I would like to see resolved, especially if we are being promised certain things as is stated in the contract. Somebody needs to oversee that, and I think our committee can at least ask some questions and get answers.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
I think the person who comes here comes from the sheriff's office rather than from the people who patrol the road generally. Isn't that so?
Usually, although we,
So the fact that there's someone patrolling is not the person who comes from the office to the report.
Yeah, that's fine. But we could get monthly reports. There's even quarterly reports that are due, but we never see those. Because there's more services than just traffic control.
yeah, of course. Thank you. There's nothing further on the sheriff's report and requests for sheriff's office attention in town. Does anybody have anything on that sub item? Good to see somebody out there today at Portola. These are the things that we'd like to see, or certainly for traffic enforcement. Further,
To the
Caroline?
chair, if I may. So what is also not on the agenda, but some residents have raised questions regarding the ALPR.
Yes.
And if we should not update that, and is it significant? I mean, we spent a lot of money on that. Has it helped the burglaries? The other night, I think it was, Monday night, on the 8 o'clock news, I saw on the ticker, burglary in Portola Valley, suspect held in custody. So we should be aware of what's going on. I know that there's many burglaries that have not been resolved. So I think the residents want answers.
Yes. I can certainly add that. I don't know. If we looked at, somebody mentioned Christy Corley last month mentioned a different ALPR system that's been used in Menlo Park and possibly also Los Altos or Los Altos Hills. Whether there was a view in Portola Valley to change our current system to something different, but I think that's obviously quite a far-reaching conversation as far as town infrastructure is concerned. Certainly part of this committee's interest, but not solely. Yes. Howard, I think you made a few comments on that last time. We get the name of
In the minute.
It's
in a minute.
through the chair, it's a flock system.
Mhm.
It's different. We currently right now have a vigilance system about 5 years old, I believe.
To the chair. I think what residents are asking is, well, we have a system in place, but is it working? Does the police use it and are we getting results?
So what tracking information do we have for the impact that it has or has not achieved?
Mhm.
And where can we find that? And how can we find out that information? Howard, do you have a town level view of that, please?
I know that, we have the cameras. They are, they're working as, they are working as required. As we're talking about administratively, the data, about the data and how the sheriff uses it. that is a sheriff operation, and that's something that you'll have to inquire with the sheriff about. So, and how they use it. That is an internal operation for
Mhm.
the sheriff. I think what you're asking for specific details on those, on the data and how they use it. And that's something that the sheriff has the information to. We would.
So one way to tackle that would be to add a question or element of that for a sheriff's report and discuss that at that time, perhaps future meeting.
I think we should talk to Gary, as the
Yeah, I was
sheriff
gonna also go-
commissioner. Maybe you could approach the sheriff department about that first, and determine if it's appropriate or not to speak about. I don't know the answer to that, but I think, Gary, if you can talk to them and ask them what their internal operations are concerning the data. That's what I'm hearing that there's a request for.
I'm losing some of the your voices. But you're asking me to talk to the sheriff, our deputy or a sergeant, how the data is handled, and is it delivered to the town in a timely manner? Is that what you're?
I think it's.
Okay, okay now, sorry for the sound effects there. I think the question is twofold. One is what data comes back to the town from the system? And then also, how effective is it to the town and to the sheriff's office? And to perhaps an overview of, has it been useful in specific incidents? Not that we want details of the incident, but what scoring or metric could you put on the use of the system to demonstrate that it has an effect in either deterring or helping to solve incidents that have occurred in town?
Okay, I think I got the general idea.
Is that
To the chair, I think that's also number B, 4B. I don't know if you were listening to the town council of last Wednesday, but that's when the contract was presented to the town council. And I believe that at the end of the meeting, town council was going to accept a 3-month extension for further discussion. And it was my understanding that they were going to reach out to the public and have the residents, give the residents an opportunity to ask more questions about the contract, or perhaps even express our concerns.
Thank you. Is that generally factually correct, Gary, that there is an extension in reviewing, an extension in reviewing the contract, or?
I think Mr. Howard.
I don't know, Howard, you know where we stand with respect to the new contract?
Yes. For the last council meeting, it was on the agenda. It's a first in a series of meetings. It was a study session, and we invited the sheriff. He spoke, the sheriff's office. It was Captain Mark Meyer, and he spoke and answered questions for a time. There is concerning the increase, a significant increase in the costs of the services by the sheriff's department. Those costs are, as I understand, they did a study and they're looking for cost recuperation for the services that they provided. They've indicated that some of the services weren't charged. So those things need to be talked about a little bit more. And there is a second study session for not this coming council meeting next week, but the May 24th meeting. I was going to cover that in my Public Works update also. So I encourage, if you want to know more about it, I mean, these things just occurred last Wednesday, so I don't expect everyone to know about them. I think that's fair. But you can attend the second meeting. Currently, right now, it's tentatively scheduled for May 24th. There was an extension talked about because naturally, because of the huge cost increase, we are trying to find solutions on how to deal with this. And potentially the only way of doing it is not to go into a year contract or multi-year contract, but just a contract extension. And it appears that the sheriff's office, per the meeting, is open to that. And the extension basically that was presented was the same cost as we're currently right now for, if I recall correctly, 3 months. So that will be discussed at the next at the March 24th town council meeting. So did I provide enough information?
Very much, yes, thank you. I have one follow-on question to that is the current contract available through the town website as a public document?
Well, the old contract was a 5-year contract from 2000. I can't remember if it's 2018. So that, if it was on a council agenda, that is available on the website for you to look at if you want.
Howard, if I could interrupt, yeah, it's online on our website. The current contract, which expires, I think, June 30th.
Yeah, so at some point we have to do something before June 30th. So thank you, Gary. If it's on the website, then the public can take a look at it. You can take a look at it.
Thank you. I think it would be helpful for all of us to understand what's included in the list of services. Perhaps I haven't read a document like that before, so it would be useful to know.
And once again, if you're interested, it was on the council agenda. I don't know how much of that is the purview of this committee right now, but it is published on a council agenda, and it's slated for a couple more meetings. So for more information, you can look at the council agenda.
Thank you very much. I know not everything on to this meeting, but it was certainly of interest to everybody. So, thank you, Howard. There's nothing further on item 4, our sheriff's report. Let's move on to item 5, which is our public works update. Thank you, Howard.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So feel free to interrupt at any time. I'm just going to go through some items here. In summary, there's no major issues in town that I've seen or been reported this month concerning traffic or parking. We are out to bid right now on our annual resurfacing project on Westridge. It's a project that's going to be on Westridge Drive from Cervantes East to Alpine Road. So once again, that's just going out to bid, and the council approved that to go out to bid. The striping and this is going to be basically placed down exactly the same as it is right now. That's the intent. We are in the process of looking at streets for next year. So if you have any thoughts, just let me know. But we do utilize our pavement management system, which basically is a program where we inspect the streets and input the conditions of every street into the program, and it basically helps us come up with a list for each year. So we rely on that, plus basically visual observations also. Budget season is here, so the staff is working heavily on the budget, coming up with what we're going to do next year. And also, I think Cindy wrote, as the finance director, should have reached out to the chairs concerning the budget. Should have turned in something by now.
Yes, you did. I'm afraid we have not, did not get to that on our agenda last month. So I've included it this month for items. Some guidance actually on a general figure for an overall budget. If that, when we get to that point.
Yeah, mainly the when we're doing items in public works, that's in the public works budget. But these are items like if events you want to hold, things that the committee wants to do internally, the committee amongst each other, expenses such as if we want to hold a litter pickup event or some kind of event, speaker events, or a fair or something like that, to get a tent or a table, those types of things. So if you can think about those things and just let Cindy know. If you agree.
Yes, we shall.
And I don't know if there is a deadline date to that, so I don't know if we've missed it or not. But if you just go by Cindy's email, that should say. I know that, we staged some mud at Ford Field, and you've probably seen that. We started removing it this week.
I did notice the piles have decreased.
So once again, that was from during the storms, the dumps were not taking liquid mud. So we had to dry it out. We had to stage it somewhere to dry it out. So it was placed at Ford Field. That was the only safe spot that we had. We had to turn it over to make sure it dries to haul it out. Let's see, Wildfire Prep Fair was a couple weeks ago. It appeared to me it was well attended. I attended, and also Ed was there, the chair here. So it was a pretty good event.
It was a very well run event, actually. Lots of good information and good turnout from the town. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Jennifer Hammer, a volunteer that assembled it on the Wildfire Prep Committee, did a great job. So overall, was the staff. She thanked the staff, and Carrie and the public works crew, Justin and Scott. Every one of these events, the crew has to make the place, ready to get the place ready, and that does take effort. So, but she did a great job, and she interacted very well with the staff. Great example, actually. And she's actually an event coordinator, so that's some insight. That's why she was so good at it. And MJ Lee too. And the parking was okay. I think, interestingly, the most of the parking was from the field use.
Yes,
Baseball field use and the soccer.
actually, the meet and greet organization of the parking was very successful.
Our fire mitigation work still continues on Golden Oak and Los Trancos. We work with the fire prevention to continue with that work, and we're also looking at trees in the right of way too. We had a cleanup event this weekend that caused a little traffic on Portola Road, but the sheriffs helped out too. As from what I understand, it was over 400 residents that participated in the cleanup event this weekend here at the town center. Rapid flashing beacons, we're still aiming for design and complete in June. Radar speed survey, hope to have that done in a couple of weeks here. Let's see. We did get thanks for the tree removal at Portola and Brookside. Random emails thanking us about.
I received those as well. Nice to have something positive to say. Satisfied with
And it's good. It's we're spending money on it. It was expensive to remove the tree, but I'm glad that problem is the request is fulfilled for the residents there. Let's see. And so I was actually going to talk, bring up the sheriff's contract also in my report that discussions have started. And Captain Mark Meyer was also good enough to bring up that they can do like a show and tell open house as part of these discussions. So they were going to, bring down equipment and kind of show everyone what they use, and that's typically kind of exciting for residents and to let residents know. We don't know exactly when that's going to happen yet, but we're targeting soon or on or before May 24th. But once again, that's very tentative right now. I'm providing you with information that's very tentative.
Okay, that would be interesting. So would that be something in a similar vein to the wildfire preparedness event? Sheriff's Office representation or?
Well, they're gonna be doing it, but it's not the scale. I mean, the wildfire prep, that was huge,
It's a big
lots of
event,
vendors. This would be something I can envision, that's something out in the parking lot, that's just very small, you know. Couple offices, the captain and the sheriff's, a couple of sheriff's officers. Showing, doing a show and tell. So, not to the scale at all, to the, not fair, no. But again, once again, for the public and for the members that are interested, I would encourage you to attend the council meetings to listen to those things.
Thank you.
And other than that, I'm still trying to balance out public works director and interim town manager duties. So, if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. Carolyn, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Wonderful presentation, and I cannot thank you enough for all the work you do. On your first subject, you said no major issues. I wonder if some people don't bring it up anymore because, for instance, Willowbrook has not been solved. I hear the complaints from residents all the time, where on the weekend, they cannot even have a normal life. They have to exit their driveway at certain times. Otherwise, it's unsafe. Same with Golden Oak. You know, we had this beautiful weather last week. And really, I appreciate all the work that Rosati's is doing. Alpine Inn, sorry. But we see traffic again compiling on Golden Oak parking.
So did you see a blackboard opposite the end
Yes,
of Golden Oak?
this week, that was great. So Alpine Inn put a blackboard on Alpine Road asking residents or visitors not to park on Golden Oak. So that's a great effort from them, but you know, there's always the same people from out of town who will park there. And I was wondering, can we help the residents putting the signs that they requested, or can we do something? So the issue is, there might be not major issues, but I think there's a lot of residents who have given up because they have tried to participate, they have tried to find solutions, and it didn't come up, and it has not been resolved. So they live with it. And I don't think that's healthy for a town.
Can I,
Go ahead.
do you want me to answer that, Ed, or?
Yes, please.
So I think we've looked at that, and we've asked the sheriff patrols and we've asked the crew to look at those things. Majority of the times we didn't see people park there, but now that the weather is better, you know, I did see people park there on the shoulder, and they were parked appropriately. They weren't on the asphalt road. So as for the items on Willowbrook, I think we should encourage citizens to report that to the town. If they're reporting it to you, and I think you should encourage them to put it through PV Connect so it's documented. So, and then also to show up at the meeting too, because it's important to have them be heard, and for us to recognize how many people is affected, is to be fair. That's all.
Definitely support, that should come through the public forum so we can get that.
I will
proper
say that 2 weeks
consensus.
ago, there were a lot of people going up Windy Hill, and there were 3 cars parked on the corner in the shoulder. And it was a Saturday, and I think there was a group doing a hike going up there, because I saw a public hike.
Are we talking about Portola Road or Alpine?
Portola Road, yes, Portola Road, on the blind corner when you come round.
Mhm.
The traffic went all the way back, and there were 3 cars there, and I wondered, did we decide not to put no parking signs there? I thought we were going to put no parking signs.
So that's currently being worked on, but a couple weeks ago, I did pass by during the fair, and everyone looked like they were complying.
It wasn't the weekend of the fair. It wasn't the weekend of the fair. It may have been 3 weeks ago.
So when you do see that, I think I would encourage you to call the sheriff for them to ticket.
Okay.
I mean, they do that, but I think the most important thing is that when you do see something like that, I'd call the sheriff right away and have them ticket. we do have one officer, and they're probably around town, and it's very hard to catch someone that's, someone's gonna stop by for 15 minutes or someone's gonna stop by for 60 minutes. I think the most important thing is that, our eyes are not everywhere, but if the volunteers want to assist, the best thing to do is to call the sheriff.
But at that particular place, there was no signs saying you can't park, and they're only parking in the shoulder. So I don't think I don't think there's any violation there.
I think we can still say a car parked in the shoulder rather than off the pavement. People can see the ticket.
So there are some signs there that says park off pavement.
Yeah, but this is way beyond where the signs are.
Outside.
It's outside
It's
the range
it's
of the
closer
sign.
here.
So, and were they parked in the travel lane? Or
We're
no?
parked on the shoulder.
They're parked on the pavement, but not in the travel lane.
Not in the
The
road.
bicycle, over, yeah.
They're blocking the bicycles, yes, because they're parked in the shoulder. It's a danger rather than a violation of the law.
So I hear that, and once again, we are working on, I don't, if you could, after the meeting, let me know the exact location.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you.
It may still be worth calling the sheriff and asking them to come out with the situation.
And see what
Because
their
they would
response is.
exercise their judgment on. Right. Probably.
Ed?
Gary, yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, as you remember, I used to do a monthly monitoring of all that, the three parking areas on weekends. And I stopped doing it at the beginning of this year. We have enough data to show that it's going to be there forever.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away. So of course, the police can only issue citations if a wheel is touching the white line or over it. And they have done that. They've issued a number of citations there in the past. So it does go on. When I last talked to Jeremy about the sheriff's contract, I suggested, and I think he thought it was a good idea, Howard, you may know if it's in there or not, but he would add extra patrols, weekend patrols of those of Portola and Willowbrook. So if it's not in there, we probably ought to add that. Have a routine that they routinely patrol on weekends, particularly sunny weekends.
Thank you. I think that would be helpful to keep that in mind as we go forward. The patterns are very different between the weeks and
And to that, Ed, I think if you wanted extra patrols, that's something to bring up to probably the council liaison.
I would add, I think it's not an extra patrol, but whoever is on patrol is out there, makes occasionally swings it by, maybe particularly between the hours of around 10 to noon.
and to have a focus on those particular areas.
Yeah. They could just do drive-bys and see what they see.
Thank you.
I'm not talking about an extra patrolman for that purpose.
I think that's a great suggestion. Thank you. I have some other items that I wanted to. I really thank you for the public works, like the streets, how you have the schedule and you show it to the public, what is being done. I think that's great. And I was hoping, as I mentioned to the chair, to do the same with Consultant Kropka and see what the results are of his work. We see on the warrant list, $4,000 here, $2,000 there. And it's also always mentioned ongoing traffic issues or something. And, we used to have a kind of timeline, or we used to have like a report of what was being done, even with the street signs. And I was hoping that I could help you. Definitely don't want to give you extra work, but perhaps that this committee can have a timetable and that we can ask directly or submit it to Mr. Kropka and say, can you fill in the blanks? We would like to know which street signs have been posted. Is he involved in the striping of the crossings? I know he's doing some changes on Portola Road to make these flashing beacons work. These are questions that I know residents have, and I am hoping that this committee can help with that. So that was one thing. On the budget, I was wondering if the flags, can we temporarily put that in the budget and renew them?
I think absolutely, that's a good thing to include in the budget. Handheld flags for,
For the crossings until,
particularly for school associated
Yeah.
crossings. But we know the kids are. Yes, we'll make sure that's a budget item.
So if you want to include that in your budget, then yeah, that would be part of the BPTS budget. We'll have to consider for that. And once again, we did not pay for the original ones or install them originally. So but if that's something that you want to put in the community.
I think it would be a good thing for BPTS, maybe not the sole contributor to that, but to have a supporting role in those things. If there are other funding sources, or the school district can be involved as well.
we used
So
to,
much the better.
my apology. We used to have a liaison with the school. If somebody can help me identify that person.
So I do have that on our ongoing business as a discussion to bring that more to the fore. Perhaps that item could wait until we get.
Sure.
I mean, we're
Go ahead,
almost there,
go
I
ahead.
think. Do you have anything? Is there anything more in your public works discussion?
I don't. I think to answer Caroline's question concerning Kupka, it's certainly there are things, it sounds like we're getting into the operational duties. And we'll have to just, I'll probably want to talk to the council liaison. But I mean, to get the committee involved in the operations, I think is I'll have to I'll talk to you about that then. So I don't know what the role is here. So, thank you.
It's just to clarify, I just want an inventory or see, where we stand. Because remember, we had this traffic study in 2000 that was launched in 2017. Town council approved $20,000 to do the study. Then in 2019, it was approved. We got, I believe, the budget set aside 285, if I'm not mistaken, $1,000 to do the work. And some of the work has not been even started. So it's just so we have a feeling that we're making progress.
Through the chair, I can answer that. So I think I've mentioned this before, where the only reason why that large amount was placed in is because we went out and got a grant first. Typically, that's not the way. Typically you do. You establish a project, get consensus, do the design, and you go out and get the grant. So you wouldn't see the amount the whole time. In this case, though, we went out for the grant first. And so once we got the grant, we put it in the budget. So it shouldn't be used as a gauge as to, well, because it was in the budget that it should have been started right away. It was only in the budget because we got the grant, and we got the grant before we even started or finished design.
But Howard, I think the question is a little bit different. In business, you often have a project manager and a project with dates, and you have by these dates, this job has to be done. And, a board would look at, say in a startup company, they would look at, have these milestones been passed by these dates? And the question is, should our committee have that role to actually look at a project plan? When I've done consulting, I used to provide a project plan to the client and say, this will take 2 weeks, this will take 4 weeks. And I think our town is slower than other towns. Being on the county bike committee, some other towns are very, very quick at getting things implemented. So I do think it might be an idea to consider for our committee whether we are like we ask our consultants for a project plan with dates, and then we see if they do the work by the time, or if it slips, then we know that the date has slipped, but we know it's going to be done.
So I think I've reported in previous meetings that we're aiming for the design to be done by June. And we're trying to go out to bid by this summer. I think I've
Yeah, but we
said-
don't have the date for when it's going to be completed.
I think what we're, if I can surmise what you're saying, both, is that we'd like this to be a little more formalized if possible. So that we understand prospective dates, associated costs, more of a detailed progress report. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, especially because of the budget. And Mr. Young, correct me if I'm mistaken, but the grant is only a portion of the total cost for the flashing beacons. If I recall, it's 60,000 that you got for the flashing beacons, but to make the changes on Portola and Alpine Road is much more costly than that. That is the major cost. So even though we got a grant of, I might be wrong that it's not, that it's more than 60,000, but there should be a ballpark of how much this is going to cost to make it work.
So I don't have them off the top of my head, but it was a majority of the cost that they were funding. And those items were in public documents. When we applied for the grant.
Mhm.
I believe went to the council. I cannot recall. So, and it's in the budget. So, just a reminder, we're a very small staff. I am the only public works person.
But that's why we didn't want to give you extra work. We were trying to see if we could help.
Now, I guess we could talk about this a little bit more, but once again, I mean, the resources are very small here. I'm the only person in the office and with 2 maintenance workers right now, we run pretty much all the infrastructure in town.
Mhm.
Which is a lot less than many other agencies. Some of the agencies you brought up, Angela, they have very big traditional organizations that cover for.
Yeah. Yes, I'm just talking about, maybe it's beyond Krupke's whole job to do the implementation, and that's why we don't have a complete project plan from him. But I'm just saying that usually if you have a project, you have a project plan and you know when the end date is.
So once again, the design we're aiming for June, and then we want to go out to bid because going out to bid and seeing what equipment is available and seeing what contract availability is still an unknown.
Yeah, so I think it might be useful even as a committee project to do a project plan. Would that be useful, or would you feel that that was clipping your wings?
I don't feel it's once again, it's setting out in construction, setting out an expectation of a date. Setting out an expectation of a date, you have to put that into consideration.
Thank you, Kevin. I see you online.
Hands.
Thank you.
There's somebody.
Kevin, do you have
Oh.
do you have a comment or a question?
Kevin, you're muted.
No, I know he has difficulty staying connected in the location. Gary, did you have something to comment?
Did I?
Oh, I
No,
see you.
I was putting a hand up to my
Oh, I beg your pardon. I saw that.
try to get Kevin, yeah, to unmute.
He's having, yeah, I think Kevin's also struggling to stay connected, so.
Yeah.
I think that's a good discussion. I think perhaps we can take that, discuss it a little more behind the scenes, so whether committee involvement in those projects can be, can facilitate. I do think it's a good point.
Mhm.
I would like to see if there's something we could do to support it, not to drive it, but to support the activity.
Thank you.
moving on to item 7 and our ongoing committee business. I've added to the top of this, since there was a reach out from Trails and Paths in our January or February meeting, reconnecting with safe routes, trails and paths and food district. And I'd like to propose that we designate an active BPTS member, a small subcommittee to pursue that and then reconnect with all the different bodies in town. We did at one time have committee member Carrie Rost, who's very active as our safe routes and BPTS member. I'd like to find somebody in our current committee membership that would be willing to take a similar role. Caroline, is that something that you would be interested in? Now, you've indicated before that this is something that is a motivation for you for joining the committee.
Exactly. To the chair, unfortunately, right now, well, I have to reach out to the superintendent again, but she was not interested 2 years ago. And so perhaps Mr. Nielsen can help us. I don't know, but definitely the trail committee is very active. They have the maps already created the maps. I think they would like our input. I just don't know the process. So if you can give me directions how to do this, I will definitely attend their meeting. But we have to coordinate. And I think, this is not the only committee that we have to coordinate. For instance, when we talk to the sheriff, and perhaps I'm off track here, and we need to work with them, but we also need to work with the emergency committee, because I believe that this committee has a role in helping with the evacuation route, or at least participate. And I think that's what the town has been missing in the last few years, is this connection between the several committees. Because if you look at the general plan, we're all connected, and every element has the committees involved. And I think that's what we should reestablish again, especially because we're such a small community with a small staff. We can all help each other, but it's all connected.
Thank you. I agree with you, and I think that's something that we can certainly bring up in the other forum, which is the committee's discussion that's taking place right now in town. I believe the next phase of that next meeting has been announced at the end of the month. I think it's 29.
Are you talking about the committees of committee?
Yes.
Okay.
The next meeting of that committee of committees has been announced. Attending at 6 p.m. May 29. Chairs are certainly invited, but I believe other committee members are very welcome. I can share that information with everybody if they are interested.
Thank you.
I will certainly take it upon myself to help you get connected again with Roberta Serra, the superintendent, and also the Safe Routes Liaison and the Trails and Paths Committee.
Gary Heyman? Hammer? No. Gary Heyman? No?
No, Gary Hanning, who
Hanning.
is Trails and Paths Chair, but they had somebody.
Jenny.
Oh, Gary was.
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
Yeah,
They had designated another member, first name Jennifer, reached out to me to connect BPTS with Trails and Paths on the matter of safety. So I can make sure that the two of you are connected.
Great, thank you.
Fred Leach.
Fred Leach is Trails and Paths Chair.
No, Mr. Heyman or Gary Henning is also connected to the school since he's still a board member now.
He may be, I'm not aware of that. No, I don't see, I thought I had included a budget item on here and I had not, or it is not, has not appeared. Oh, did I put it? Complete number six? Number six, did I skip here? I beg your pardon, I skipped over item six. Let's return to that. The returning back up our committee agenda for today, item 6 is discussion of budget items for consideration. Discuss and propose amounts for categories, including but not necessarily limited to communication and outreach, event publicity, and small event consumables.
So what was the budget this year?
I do not know. Could not find that information in time. I think we may have just defaulted to whatever the town's assignment for budget was. Something like $500, but I could be wrong. Are you aware of a default figure for committee budget?
I don't believe there's a default figure.
No, I think we just had whatever we had the year before. I can't remember what it was, but it's a very small amount. It was basically to cover us for food at town events. You know, if we have a bike to work, food, cookies and things, for cyclists, and there's a banner sign. We have a banner sign usually for an event like that.
Yes. Publicity and I think what I'd like to propose is that I go back to Cindy, ask for guidance on amounts and categories of things that would be appropriate for a budget.
Well, there's a bike rack out here people have asked for. And the question is that a public works item or should we, you know, get a nice set of bike racks out here or an artistic bike rack or something?
Yeah, do something with a committee sponsorship. Yeah, and then that comes, is that infrastructure or is that a committee?
That is an infrastructure. I would see something like that as an infrastructure item. And that would have to be talked about, you know, how it fits here.
I'm talking about
I-
it
I- I-
now. It's
yeah,
not
I-
to the
I don't-
budget.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's something to be just thrown in the budget and, you know, right now at this point in time to submit the budget, I think we should just concentrate on the internal budget right now. And if we want to have some infrastructure improvements, then we can talk about that. Also, I wanted to add, I don't think Cindy is going to have, I think with Cindy, she's not going to have an opinion on what should this a budget be assembled, but that's really for the committee to determine. But I know the budget is public. There's you can certainly find it on certainly to find out what it is, or if you can, you know, at this point being late, potentially just going to Cindy and saying, we'll just reuse last year's budget. I think the options are very limited right now due to the time.
To the chair, we could suggest, I don't know if that's possible. I believe that last year was about 350. Does that sound? Well, we have to look it up.
Yeah.
But what if we increase it to 1,000? It's just a budget proposal. We look at what the cost is for the flags. So that could be covered. And then we also need to double check with town council, because remember 2 years ago, we started this gift or donation from residents to the town.
Yes.
I mean, that's something I would like to look into. An artistic bike rack can be a donation from someone, might be myself, but it's something we should look into.
Thank you. That's a good proposal.
So my proposal, since we're so late, would it be acceptable to go with a budget of $1,000?
Don't see why not. I mean, it's a budget request. It is not a budget demand.
Exactly, exactly.
I think, you know, if we put down the flags and said we would pay for all of them, because that's the easiest thing to do, just to order them off Amazon and get them, you know, rather than say we need money from school for half a flag or something. So I would like to see the flags. I'd like to see enough for food and drink for a bike to work day and maybe a town event, like the town picnic where we have a booth of food and a banner. You know, we need to have it. We always either update an old banner or we have a new banner. But if we have the price of a banner for our bike to work day, which is now,
So, yes, if we're going to vote on something, we can attempt to vote on proposing an overall amount, but we don't have any proposal for the allocation for it, unless we just divide it up.
but we could delegate you to fill in things, and we say it's a budget of $1,000 that we vote on, and we delegate you to fill in the blank.
Do you have a feel if that's an acceptable path to do? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, at this point in time, I believe so. At this point in time, I mean, the deadline has already passed already. And the budget has to be assembled, so we'll have to give her something, and then then when it goes to the council, then you can talk to, you know, if you want to have amendments, you can show up at the council meeting and present it to the council.
I think that's a good path forward.
And once again, that is not the normal path. It's just that
We're late.
the date's already passed. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I do want to also mention, it'd be nice to get, you know, once again, the town didn't put the flags out there. It'd be nice to get the volunteers. Whoever did that, you know, to start a dialogue with them. So, thank you.
Thanks, Howard. So, meet our request to submit a budget. I propose that the BPTS request a yearly budget for 2024 of $1,000 with the allocations for event costs, for flags for crosswalks, and for publicity materials to be allocated offline, but that to be submitted to the with representation.
Great idea.
I second it.
Thank you very much.
Ed? And members, I've got another appointment I've got to run off to. So, Howard, I'll get back to you about this weekend parking business. Just a couple of comments vis-a-vis the sheriff's contract.
Thank you,
So-
Gary.
Yeah, okay.
Through the chair, just one thing, on the budget, I just thought of is that if you're allocating the thing to certain items, you should have some kind of flexibility. $1,000 is for, you know, if you don't use it on items, you can use it.
Oh, thank you. Our last item in our ongoing committee business. Yes, thank you. So that concludes discussion about budget items for today. I want to return to item 7. Item 7. This has really got mangled. Item A and item D. I don't believe this is quite the document that I wrote. But I was going to request an update from the Alternative Transportation and Infrastructure Subcommittee. That is committee members Hay and Bannon. Any further update from?
No, we left it with Howard to talk to Paul Cook about that, about signs. We haven't looked at any other projects.
Okay, thank you.
So there's no
No
update.
update this month. Proposing to leave that on as a standing item to come back to. Yes, we have an update or another no update. But definitely a sensible way to keep something in mind on.
To the chair, Angela, I don't know if you know, but a resident, Rita Combs, and I believe it was the former council member Derwin, apparently looked at the roundabouts, I think in the last couple of years, and did have communication with San Mateo County, because this is at Ladera. So I don't know if you want to connect with them and see what they came up and what their.
Sure. And I've also looked at other towns and how to make them flat so you can drive straight, but you just change the color of the paving.
And that's important because that was a concern by the consultants who were working on the safety elements. Zeke Blender.
Yep.
And so he said, well, with the roundabouts, you're going to restrict traffic, but
But lots of people have solved that problem. Even one in Los Altos I saw the other day, just as I was cycling through. And so lots of towns have solved this problem in other parts of the country.
We do have an event this month, or there is a bicycle related event this month, which is Bike to Whenever Day. That's 18th of May. I don't think we're likely to be able to organize anything this year, unfortunately, but keep that in mind as a
We're not
fun
doing a
thing to
good
do.
booth.
I don't know how we're going to organize it. I mean, I'd like to be able to organize a booth.
Let's get all this stuff.
Yeah, it's rather short notice. We can have an unofficial event.
May the 18th. Okay.
I'd certainly be willing to contribute to that. As needed. That's something we could probably just discuss offline. It doesn't have to be a Brown Act matter
No.
party, eventually.
And some of the things you can download from the web, right? Some of the signage and stuff.
Well, reach out to Pat and see if she's available.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's time to pull it off. We've always pulled it off at about a week's notice if we can get, you know, the shopping bags or whatever we hand out. So,
Thank you. If we have no other matters arising, there is nothing for me.
I did have something, and it was also mentioned last meeting. It was that proposal for simplifying and clarifying committee operations. This is the form that I saw online from the Finance Committee, that it's something that town council wants to get resolved. So we have to put our input.
Yes.
And so, I don't know, did you see the
didn't
table?
I send you some input?
Angela, yes, thank you. You sent me
I
some
sent
input.
input,
I
right.
know,
Oh, okay.
Caroline, you've also corresponded with me
Okay.
directly on that. Thank you very much for your ideas. They are important. And I'll be representing that at the next committee.
And then my other request was, I keep on mentioning it to the town council as well, if all these meetings are being recorded, why can't the town not put them next to the agenda, the minutes? So it's something that I keep on asking town council. I don't know what else. we
I've
can do.
started putting links in the minutes.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I definitely don't want to give you extra work, but my question was, I mean, if the recordings are available, why can
Absolutely.
the town not put them on the side? It's, you know, because when we contact the town, I missed the sustainability committee, and so, but I wanted to listen to the recording. And when I send an email to both assistant to the manager, Brandy, and then Carrie Chin, and I don't get an answer, I feel
Yes.
that is not productive either. And so if they're available, why not put them on? Then we don't have to bother staff.
Yeah, because it is a job to search through YouTube and find out where they are. So I think that's a good idea.
I think you can do that now through this YouTube channel for the schoolhouse. So if you subscribe to that channel, then all those meetings will appear.
Yeah, but
I
it's
know
just
you
an
still have to
extra
search
column
that.
on a website. It's an extra column on a website, or you put it underneath the minutes, just the link, right?
So how can you get those when you sign in?
I don't think you have to sign in. If you search in YouTube for Portola Valley,
But you don't find all of them. That's the problem.
Good. If you go there and then you subscribe to that channel,
And then you search on,
And
like,
then you search within-
it doesn't always pop up. I had to actually search on bike committee and BPTS and a few little words, and eventually I found it.
I can show you quickly after. the meeting.
Okay. You can find it, but it would be nice to just have the link so that when you look up the history of the past.
I agree,
meetings-
that's a separate thing. That would also be a good facility.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys went to events. I just wanted to, on events, just, traditionally we used to have the BPTS traffic community used to have also a litter pickup event that they would do many years ago.
Yes.
It would be great to see the community organize that again.
No, but I want to organize, I just don't want to do it, but what I do is I cycle up and down Alpine Road a lot and pick up things like I picked up a cardboard box outside Bianchini's, now that's outside Portola Valley the other day, and I took it back to their trash can because it was a flattened cardboard box in the road and things like that. And so, I feel that we're paying taxes and that people should get paid to pick up the trash. But I do think that when I find a baseball or a tennis ball or something, I'll pick that up as I'm going by.
Thank you. I have a different angle on that, which is I know there are Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts youth group, well, Scouts BSA as it is now because those guys like to have the community events and community hours scoring that they can get from it, and so I think it would be another opportunity for a joint committee event between, say, Trails and Paths BPTS, because litter ends up on trails, litter ends up on roadside. The two are linked, and I think that would be a good way to organize that and publicize that to our youth groups.
To the chair, and even conservation.
Absolutely, yes.
Mhm.
Yes, let's so we can connect. I will attempt to connect the dots on that between the committees and see where we can get to. Thank you. If there are no further matters, I'd like to declare the meeting adjourned. And our next regularly scheduled meeting will be June 7th.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.